This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, treetop trauma.
He was up about 3 or 4 stories high.
When a friend falls.
When we learned the first aid merit badge, they said the worst thing you can do is panic.
Scouts honor their first aid training. Plus, a rookie wrestler wrenches his neck.
He screamed that he couldn't move.
You've got to be very, very careful because any twisting, this person could actually die.
On Rescue 911.
As a child, summer is the best time, when fond memories and deep bonds are formed that will always have a place in our hearts. For 13-year-old Patrick Mizell and his close friends, August 28, 1993 is one summer day they will never forget. That afternoon, 13-year-old Maury Brazil and a friend were walking about a mile back in the woods behind his house.
That's kind of like my summer home. I'm back there a lot during the summer with my friends.
Hey, they're just, I don't hear it.
I kept telling Jonathan that I was hearing voices.
Listen, there it is again. It's coming from
Then we heard some hammering. We figured somebody was building a fort.
Oh, it sounds like myself. Come on. Hey, myself.
Whoa.
Golly! How'd you get that out? What's up, guys?
We saw Patrick up in the tree,
Come on up.
and he was up about 3 or 4 stories high.
Man, this is awesome.
I was amazed because I've never built a fort that high.
14-year-old Ben Boatler and another friend were helping Patrick build the treehouse.
Me and Patrick are great friends.
When'd y'all get here? We've been here for
The treehouse is going to be a place where we can go and spend the night and have fun.
Right, you bring anything out?
We were talking about how awesome it was and how cool it was going to be when they finished.
Patrick nailed it. I think you're gonna cook. Oh, I'm in a hall. Oh my God, Patrick!
When Patrick hit the ground, it was one of the most terrible sounds I've ever heard in my whole entire life.
When we continue.
He was laying on his side, he wasn't moving, and everybody was kind of running around screaming, what do we do? You know, he's dead.
He's not breathing.
He was laying on his side, he wasn't moving, and everybody just was kind of running around screaming, what do we do? Oh my gosh, you know, he's dead. Ben and Patrick and I are all in the same Boy Scout troop. And I remember when we learned the first aid merit badge, they said the worst thing you can do is panic because that's the way a lot of people die.
He's not breathing, he's not breathing.
I knew not to move him because I could maybe paralyze him, but he wasn't breathing, so I had to put him on his back to lift his chin up to open his airway. But that didn't work, so I did a finger sweep. His tongue was in the back of his throat, and I pulled it out.
He's breathing, he's breathing.
His face was really pale. In Scouts, there was a rhyme that says, if their face is pale, lift the tail. If the face is red, lift the head.
We gotta lift his legs up. Be careful, Maury.
Maury said, lift his feet to make sure he doesn't go into shock.
Go get help, hurry up! Run!
I was really scared for him. I wasn't sure if he was gonna live or not.
Small medic emergency, what address?
Within 15 minutes of the accident, one of the boys got to a phone to call for help. A mobile medic ambulance was immediately dispatched to the scene.
Hang in there.
Adrenaline was pumping through every vein in my body, and I really couldn't believe that this was
You're gonna
happening.
be okay, Patrick. Hang in there.
He was breathing very raggedly, and I thought he was going to die.
Come on, Patrick.
Me and Patrick are great friends, and I can't imagine him not being here anymore.
Paramedic Derek Layton and the other rescue workers arrived at the nearest house within 25 minutes of the accident.
There was a lady waiting for us. She said, get on the four-wheeler, and he'll take you to where the patient was. The woods were about 100 yards back, so I figured that we were going to be right behind the house.
How much further? That much. Turn, guard.
But we got there, and the ambulance was probably a good mile away from where we were.
Hurt really bad, hurt.
I realized I didn't have my radio with me. I didn't think I'd be that far out of contact with my crew. Just by looking at him, I knew he was critical.
Take this back to the ambulance crew. Tell them this is equipment that I need, okay?
All right.
He's been like that the whole time?
Yes.
What happened to him?
He fell from that tree.
Hey, Patrick? Can you hear me? Patrick?
I was surprised to see his blood pressure and his pulse as stabilized as they were. Everything that could have been done prior to our arrival was done.
Right over here.
But his pupils were gazed upward and to the right, which would indicate some type of head injury.
Okay, 13-year-old fell out of the tree about 40 feet. He's unconscious.
It crossed the back of my mind that he might die while we were still out in the woods.
Put a C-collar on him.
How is he?
Hang on.
Patrick's mother and father, Laurie and Jim Mizell, were notified of his accident.
It seemed like I was running real fast, but I couldn't get there. It was like slow motion.
I could tell by the looks on the faces of the paramedics and the firemen that it was a very serious situation.
Are you okay?
Sam, he's doing fine, okay?
Patrick.
Listen to me.
He just looked like he was sleeping to me.
Are you okay?
Doing fine.
Just hold on.
I kept holding on to the hope that he was going to be okay. Just when you see that your child's sitting there and he's not moving. It's just kind of frightening.
A lot of brush. You're gonna be okay, sweetheart.
Since I lost my father about 4 years ago, Patrick's been my biggest buddy, and the thing that crossed my mind was that I was going to lose my best friend.
It's real scary to think that you might outlive your child. I just would rather die than him die. He's such a joy. Such a sweet, good kid. That I just would miss him.
Patrick was taken to the trauma unit of the University of Mississippi Medical Center in critical condition and treated by a team of doctors, including neurosurgeon Philip Azordigan.
Any purposeful movement just yet? When I first saw Patrick, he was comatose. And he had sustained a punctured lung, but he hadn't broken either his neck or his back. He's had a real bad injury to the head. The bad news was that he had sustained a very severe head injury. We were very concerned that he would either remain in a coma permanently or would not survive at all.
You doing okay, sugar?
How you doing, buddy? It's your daddy.
And we just kind of sitting there comforting him, telling him where he was, telling him what happened, so that if he could hear us, he wouldn't be scared to death.
You need to go ahead and get well as soon as you can. The main thing I was worried about was that his state of mind was going to get bad and he was just going to give up.
We got through that first night, and I kept telling him, this isn't good enough, Patrick. You got to show me your eyes. I just wanted him to wake up. There you go. Good. There we go. First time that I saw his eyes, it was, it's like when you're looking at them when they're a little baby, and they look up at you and smile.
Do you see anything?
It's just a bunch of prayers that were answered. It's just an answer to a prayer.
13-year-old Patrick Mizell spent 10 days in the hospital. In the 2 months since the accident, he has made an amazing recovery.
I think that Patrick was an incredibly lucky young man. I don't think anyone else who would have fallen that distance would have done nearly as well or even survived that fall. He's still a little bit slow in his speech, but he's back in school. He has been asking me if he could start lifting weights again. Now I have to be the meanie and tell him, no, you can't do this just yet. Slow down.
Concentrate on the ball.
I'm looking forward to just being able to do my normal activities. But I intend to be like real careful in a lot of the things that I do. I've learned that I'm not invincible.
He's been very adventurous. Jim and I have said that if he makes it through his teens alive, it'll be a miracle. We tease him now. We tell him that some angels caught him on the way down, which probably happened.
I will do my best to do my duty, to guide my country, to obey the scout laws.
Their training that they had learned in the Boy Scouts was the exact thing that he needed at that time. If it hadn't been for them opening his airway, he would have been dead before we got there. There's just no question that they're the ones that saved his life.
We have a victim here that's in shock. What do we do, guys?
This accident has pulled us together because we've realized how fortunate that we are that Patrick is here and that we all have such a good friendship.
Vitals, see if he's breathing.
It really scares me to think that he was almost taken from us. I hope that nothing like this will ever happen again because it was really hard.
I don't think I can repay all the people that helped me. I want them to know that I'm very grateful for what they did.
Little frogs.
Maybe I'll get to see him grow up more and see his kids, and when he has his own, he'll probably be able to feel the fullness of being a parent and the love that comes from it. He's my special son, and he always has been.
I've done several things to me in your lifetime that have made me probably grayer than
Like what?
Next.
I just couldn't believe what was going on. 1 second, he was wrestling great. The next thing you know, he's injured and he's laying flat on his back.
On December 2nd, 1993, wrestlers, mostly from colleges across the Northeast, were competing in a tournament in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. After 20 years of coaching, Craig Spencer of Kane College learned that winning or losing is not the only measure of an athlete's character and strength.
The sport of wrestling is the oldest sport participated in throughout history. It is a violent sport, but it's a controlled violence. Mike Wicker was a freshman, and I felt that this tournament was probably a little bit over his head. He hadn't had a lot of matches, but I felt he could hang in there and do very well.
Will Rance, a teammate of Michael's, was also competing in the tournament.
I met him when I first started wrestling, and ever since then we just became good friends. It was one of the best matches he wrestled all year. He was up 4-1. Mike was on the bottom, and before he can roll, the guy kicked his arm out. You could tell that there was something wrong because he had screamed that he couldn't move. He couldn't move. I just couldn't believe what was going on. I felt devastated.
When I got to Michael on the mat, and he was yelling out my neck, and you could see the bulge from the disc, and my gut feeling was this is very, very serious.
What happened?
The tournament's certified athletic trainers were called to the floor, including Michael Aid.
Michael was lying face down, and I carefully palpated his neck, and I felt a bony protrusion. And I looked at my partner, and I guess I must have had that look on my face that had doom spelled on it. I said, Jim, get an ambulance. I said, this young man is in very serious trouble.
You got to move him as a unit.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. We decided we better log roll Michael. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Well, you got to do everything in unison, and you've got to be very, very careful when you do this, because any twisting, this person could actually be permanently paralyzed or could die.
Get his hand, coach.
He tried to get up, and they told him to stay down. They specifically told him, do not move. And that scared him. I could tell that scared him a lot.
No, you're okay. You're all right. Come on. Relax, Mike. Just relax. Take your breathing a little slower.
We had to physically hold him down because he kept on insisting that if I can just move, I will be okay.
Coach, I need to get up, Coach.
No. 1 second, he was wrestling great. And the next thing you know, he's injured and he's laying flat on his back waiting for the paramedics to come. It's just incredible how you could just switch just like that.
19-year-old Michael Wicker was taken to Wilkes-Barre General Hospital and put under the care of neurosurgeon David Sedor.
The test results showed that Michael had slipped the C4 bone over the C5 bone. He was probably within a millimeter of having permanent devastating damage to his spinal cord. The space for the canal for the spinal cord is very badly narrowed. We're going to have to reduce him. He would have damaged his spinal cord further and eventually gone into cardiopulmonary arrest if he had gotten up and not listened to the advice of the trainer.
Michael was put in traction to try to realign the vertebrae in his neck without surgery. He was given a 50-50 chance of recovering. Michael's grandmother, Inez Wicker, who raised him and his younger sister Chenille since the death of their mother, came to see Michael as soon as she could.
When I first saw Michael, he was laying straight out like he was in a morgue. And I felt very drained out because, in intensive care, you think about death. And we sat down and talked for a while, and he burst out crying. Because I think deep down in his heart, he might have thought that he was going to die. The pain will go away, because we want you to get well and come home.
He looked so weak. He couldn't move or nothing. He was just stuck in the bed. And I was really scared. Michael means everything to me, because he's my only brother. And I love him a lot, and I don't think he knows.
After a second operation to fuse the damaged vertebrae in his neck, Michael spent 2 months undergoing extensive physical therapy.
This case is a clear example of how important it is not to move somebody with a critical spinal injury, and I just wish that all the cases could end this happily.
Okay, Michael, nice and slow. I'm going to build things up very slow. I like to just
If it wasn't for Michael Wade, if I would have got up even a millimeter, I probably wouldn't be here today. And I thank him very much for that.
Take it slow. I was just one piece in a very difficult puzzle, and Mike Wicker was a very major part of that puzzle because of his determination and his courage. This young man was literally on a deathbed, and I'm just tickled to death that it turned out this way for him.
Mike's doing good. He can do just about everything. He can lift, he can play basketball, he can't wrestle. But for Mike to come back the way he did, it took a lot of guts and courage and a lot of heart.
Though Michael can no longer pursue his love of wrestling as a competitor, he's been made a student assistant for the team.
Nice. When Michael returned, he walked into the room, and several of the kids turned their heads, saw Michael walking in. The entire practice stopped, and they all stood up and started clapping. And Michael's eyes teared up, and all of our eyes teared up to see the wrestlers stand up and applaud like that. They would never do that for me coming into the room.
When I look at Michael, I see a miracle. I'm just so pleased that he's feeling better. And I'm forever asking him, is your neck hurting you? Is your neck hurting? He said, no, it's not bothering me. But it's just my way of, you know, just feeling happy that he's there.
Smile. You don't want to smile? You're on camera.
I went through so much sadness when I lost his mother that I don't think I would have been able to go through any more sadness.
What you want? You don't want what?
When I look at my sister, sometimes I just see my mother there. And the thought of me even losing her or she losing me, I couldn't bear that.
I know it, Joe. You mean it's so crust. I'm real happy because now we can do the same things we were doing before. I like going shopping with Michael because I don't have to pay for nothing. And I think me and my brother are very lucky.
They made that thing, you know, I want to be like Mike. She said just Michael.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car, please.